Firstly, a very warm welcome to our first ever virtual Key Stage 4 Specialisms event. This is the presentation for students who are following the Blue Pathway and their parents and carers. And obviously, we wish we were in a position to be inviting you to the school site to meet staff and speak to them face to face about the different options at Key Stage 4. We've thought very carefully about how we can provide a similar opportunity remotely, and one of the benefits obviously in terms of this presentation is the opportunity to pause it, rewatch it and watch it at a time that suits you. So I hope you find it very useful. It gives an overview of the process and the reasons for the options and choices we have in place, and then you'll have the opportunity to watch subject presentations about subjects that your child is considering taking at Key Stage 4. Whilst we want to ensure that our students achieve the very best qualifications and also make sure that our curriculum is compatible with statutory and national requirements, we also maintain an approach in terms of much wider principles and values about our curriculum. So we want to make sure it's broad and balanced, that it really offers qualifications that prepare our students for their future lives and reflects their whole range of talents, interests, expertise and skills, and is aspirational and personalised so that it enables everybody to achieve success. Of course, this is not something we've had to talk about as part of our specialisms process in previous years, and we very much hope, of course, that your child's Key Stage 4 education won't be disrupted in any way, but I understand that parents and students may have questions or concerns about how school would manage that happening. And of course, we do have our experiences of the last year to draw upon in how we would deal with that. So our absolute focus would be ensuring that students achieve the qualifications they need for their chosen appropriate post-16 pathway. We know that we can move smoothly to a primarily remote model and adjust our curriculum structure and teaching approaches in line with those changes. We also this year have put in place an adjustment for our current Year 11 students, so they had the opportunity at the start of Year 11 to either continue with their 9 qualifications or reduce to 8 qualifications and take some additional intervention provision alongside those 8 qualifications. And if there was future disruption, that's something we could consider offering again in the future. We also build ongoing assessment into our courses anyway, and so we have a wealth of evidence of achievement and what students can do, what their next steps are, that we can use if the assessment model was to change during the course. And finally, our Year 11 students are testament really to how flexible and resilient and determined and engaged students can be, and they're actually achieving, despite the disruption they've experienced, in line with our expectations and previous cohorts, which is obviously very encouraging and very impressive. So what has the process consisted of so far? First of all, you should have received a copy of our Year 9 Specialisms booklet for 2021 to 2023. If you haven't seen that yet, that's available via our school website. So if you go to the parents page and then GCSE Specialisms information, and you should see the guide as an attachment at the bottom of the page. We also have the specialism forms available from last academic year. So they are not the forms for completion this year, but they're just there to give a model of the sort of thing that will be completed on the form. And the process has already started with the Year 9 team working with Year 9 students to explain the process to them and to support them, and that started with an assembly delivered by Mrs. Holling. So what does a broad and balanced curriculum look like on the Blue Pathway? We would like all students on this pathway to complete 9 qualifications, and at least 5 of those GCSEs will come from English, Maths and Science. So 2 English GCSEs, a Maths GCSE and then Science, either a combined course worth 2 GCSEs, or if students opt to take triple Science, that is worth 3 GCSEs and will take up one of their specialism option blocks. In addition, we would like all students on this pathway to take at least one language GCSE, and that should be a language they have studied in Year 9, and also a humanities GCSE, which can be geography, history or RE. And on top of that, they will have 2 further specialism choices, or 1 if they have opted to take triple science. And as part of those further specialism choices, they can opt to take a second language or a second humanities subject. And on top of that, all of our students will also follow a core PE and citizenship curriculum, which is important for their wider education and will support their qualification subjects. By taking the choice of subjects I've outlined, this will mean that students have completed or taken the full EBAC. Now, this isn't a qualification, but it's just a group of qualifications that is recognised as providing a broad academic background that will enable students to go on and compete for university places and employment in very prestigious organisations. So it's seen as being a really strong combination of subjects to take. However, what we're really interested in is the benefits of the individual subjects that are included within the full EBAC, and that's the reason that we encourage students to take this combination of subjects if they're on the blue pathway. In particular, we feel very strongly about the benefits of students taking languages at Key Stage 4, so that's partly in terms of, as you can see on the slide, the competitive edge that that can give students in terms of university applications and in terms of employment, but also in terms of the wider benefits of being able to reach out, communicate with people from different backgrounds around the world, and also to rise to the challenges of studying a language at Key Stage 4 level and hopefully beyond that. So what are the specialism choices available to students on the blue pathway? Once they've chosen their language, which as we've already said should be a language they've studied during Year 9, their humanities subject, which can be a choice of RE, history or geography, they then have 2 further specialism subjects, and they have a range of 21 subjects that they can choose between. So that could be the decision to do triple science, which will take up one of those specialism blocks alongside their science lessons. It could be another EBAC subject or even 2 more EBAC subjects. It could be a creative or art subject, and you can see right at the bottom of the slide one of the restrictions is that students cannot take both art and textiles because they're actually different variations of the same qualification. Students could opt for a practical subject, a vocational subject, or another academic subject. And you can see there I've kind of highlighted some of the subjects in different ways. So the subjects in red are the ones that students won't have had an opportunity to study directly at Key Stage 3. And next week we're going to create the opportunity for students to have a specialisms taster session day where they can experience some of those subjects and see what they're all about. So there are some new subjects at Key Stage 4 that students haven't taken before, and it's really important if they're going to choose one of those subjects that they understand completely what the subject consists of and don't just take it thinking that it's new and it's going to be different. So really making sure they understand and know why they want to take that particular subject. The other things that I have highlighted are, you can see the vocational subject row where the subjects are in italics, and those are subjects where we offer a different sort of qualification, so they're not GCSEs, and I have another slide where I'll explain a little bit in a minute about the difference of the different sort of qualifications. You will also notice for performing arts, music and PE that we offer either a GCSE or a vocational alternative, and that decision depends on the cohort and the nature of the students who opt for that subject. The other thing just to mention about some of those subjects, you'll see computing, triple science and psychology all have an asterisk next to them, and that's because there are entry requirements for those subjects because of the demands of those particular courses. So we know that there are a certain cohort of students who are best suited to doing those qualifications. What is really important in terms of making decisions is obviously the individual student preferences, but also trying to keep breadth and balance. So particularly for students who are highly aspirational, want to go on to a very high achieving university and future professional qualifications, actually being able to demonstrate some breadth and the fact that they can also succeed at a much more creative or artistic or practical subject is really, really important. So it's not a question that just sticking to EBAC subjects is the best route. And I would encourage all the students on this pathway to have at least one subject that comes from either the creative, artistic, practical, vocational area where possible. Of course, though, it does depend on the individual. So how are the non-GCSE courses, the vocational qualifications, different from GCSE qualifications? The first thing that's very important to understand is they carry exactly the same status and are recognised by the Department for Education, colleges, sixth forms, universities and employers as being the equivalent of a GCSE. They typically are assessed more through coursework and practical activities and often have a modular entry system so students can be entered for different units during the 2-year course rather than all of the assessment taking place at the end of the course. Quite often where there are exams on non-GCSE courses, they can be taken on more than one occasion and students can keep their highest mark. And they also offer a different grading structure as well. So here you can see the current, it's described as new in the grid, but it's been around for a good few years now, the current GCSE grading system and also the vocational grades as well. And for those of you who are still working, if you like, in old money in terms of the old style GCSE grades from A to G, you can see the comparison there. So you can see what the new grades are worth. So in terms of GCSE grades, a grade 4 is the lower end of a grade C, a grade 7 is the equivalent of a grade A, and the new grade 9 is the top end of grade A star. And you can see there that the equivalent vocational grades, level 2 is a grade 4 or an old grade C and above, and a merit sort of spans both grade 5 and grade 6, and a level 2 distinction star spans grade 8 and grade 9. So what advice would we give to students in terms of making the right decisions for them? First of all, it's really important that they're open-minded about the subjects and don't make snap decisions about things they definitely don't want to do or definitely want to do. It is really important that they find out the facts about how the course is going to be assessed, what the content is. Don't make assumptions that a subject at Key Stage 4 is going to be exactly the same as it is at Key Stage 3. So really to find out as much as they can. Discussing their ideas and talking to a number of different people. Obviously that's a little bit difficult in terms of school at the minute, but talking to people remotely, discussing things at home, finding out as much as they can and really thinking about what they want to do, not worrying about what their friends are doing and choosing subjects for short-term reasons, really thinking about the longer term. But equally, there are very few decisions that they can make at the minute that will kind of close off routes to them in the future. So not to become too worried if they don't know what it is they want to do in the future. Even if they do, it is highly likely that they could end up changing their mind by the time they're 16, 18, or entering into a career. So I'm just going to run through some key dates in terms of our virtual specialisms process. Obviously, Thursday the 21st of January is the launch of our virtual specialisms event. We are also publishing our Year 9 subject reports this week, which will help to inform parents and students about progress in different subject areas and may help to inform choices about subjects that may be suitable for study at Key Stage 4. That's going to be followed on Monday the 25th of January by our parent-tutor meetings, which will take place remotely. And at the minute, although we've explored options for trying to arrange parents and subject teachers to meet, that's very difficult. Obviously, if you do have specific questions of particular subject teachers, your child's tutor will be able to help facilitate that conversation and that discussion to help inform your decisions. The taster lessons for new subjects offered at Key Stage 4 are going to take place virtually on Wednesday the 27th of January. So for the first time this year, we have an electronic process for completing the specialism form, and that's going to be completed the week after February half term, and that's to give students plenty of opportunity to make their decisions, think about them. If they want to reconsider and change their mind, preferably they can do it before handing the form in, because once the form has been handed in, it can be much harder to change a subject, and we can't guarantee that we can offer a place on alternative subjects. So really important to think about it thoroughly and have plenty of time to make that decision as carefully as possible. On the form, students will need to indicate which language choice they are opting for, their humanities choice of subject, their two other specialism choices, and then also their reserved choices as well. And those subjects are really, really important. We can't always guarantee that subjects will run. So if we don't have enough students who pick the subject may be unable to run. If too many students pick the subject and there are too many students in the group, it's not appropriate to have a group of that size. We may also then have to go through a very careful selection process of who would most benefit from that subject. So it is important that reserved choices are carefully thought through and decided upon. So what happens after the 26th of February? We don't put together a curriculum model where we identify which subjects go in which block and are on at the same time until students have made their choices. And that's really important because we can then fit the curriculum model around the combinations of subjects that students have chosen and try to make sure that we can offer the first choices to as many students as possible. So we then actually adjust our curriculum model to see if we can fit what it is that students want to do. As I've mentioned already, we cannot necessarily guarantee that subjects are going to run. If there aren't enough students to take a course or the course is oversubscribed. And where we're not able to meet a student's choice of all 4 subjects, then we will discuss with them the other subjects that are available. As I've mentioned already, it's really important to try and make a clear and final decision, because we can't guarantee necessarily that changes can be made at a later point. And usually just after the Easter holidays, we will then be able to provide confirmation of the specialism subjects that we're able to offer. So this is the final slide of my presentation. I hope that you go on to have a look at the subject presentations and that you find those really useful. They're available also from the website. And obviously we recognise the process is different this year. We want to ensure that students are not and parents are not disadvantaged in any way at all. So please do make use of those conversations with tutors to find out any information you need, and they'll be able to forward any inquiries to the relevant member of staff. But please also get in touch with the school if there's anything else we can help with. Mrs. Holling and Mr. Young are coordinating the process, so can direct you to the right person for any queries or concerns, and Miss Shields is also available to answer any SEND queries. So good luck. We hope you have some interesting discussions and that you're all very happy with the combination of specialisms that your child opts for. Thank you very much.